Hey everybody, this is Calvin Waite. I trade crypto for a living. I'm not a registered or licensed financial advisor, planner, or broker, so nothing on this channel should be taken as a recommendation to buy or sell. I also trade all of these things, so I probably have a vested interest in there. But there's plenty of entertainment value and lots of education, so this will be awesome. For those of you who didn't know, my subscription channel is live. So look at the link in the description over at cryptoinfluencers.com and you can see how I make all of my trades and what I do and what I think about everything. This channel is for more hypothetical and looking at trends, and the other one is for actual trading, so you might be interested in that. Good afternoon, everybody. I am happy to talk to you about what's going on in the markets today. This is really crazy. So what we're looking at, in the middle, I have the S&P. This is on the 1 minute chart. We've seen this before on my channel. On the top is our Bitcoin and its whole thing. And in the bottom here, it's the comparison of the S&P and Bitcoin. And so the strange thing is, we pretty much tracked move for move most of the day. And then finally at about, with about 2 hours left in the trading day, well, 3 hours. 3 hours left, suddenly the S&P just started moving away from Bitcoin. And it got worse and worse and worse till the end of day. And it's interesting because we, on this channel, I've been watching this for a while and kind of speculated and been tracking that if the S&P does one thing, Bitcoin's kind of doing the same thing. And that certainly is true for the down days. And on the up days, it doesn't necessarily, or at least it's been unusual if Bitcoin's been tracking. So there must be a little bit more bearishness in Bitcoin. The strange thing here is that there's such a big difference. So I'm going to go to the 5 minute on all of these. And you can kind of see how even though the S&P had a huge jump at the beginning of the day, Bitcoin didn't really move that far. If I keep scrolling out, we can catch a couple of days. So here was the S&P opening shorter, and leading up to the open, Bitcoin dropped off. So it opened much shorter here. So Bitcoin gapped down with the S&P here, but then the next day, right here when we gapped up, we didn't really gap up that much. We just kind of started trading. It was very small. And then we just started trading and kind of cruising along. So yeah, in fact, it was right here. We came up a little bit. But then most recently today, we've had this day where Bitcoin gapped up, the S&P gapped up and Bitcoin didn't really move. It's making it a little hard for me to use the S&P as an indicator. So one other view, and this is the entire reason I was doing this in the first place, is that if you look at the 1 day since the drop, we have, let me see if I can find the right, trying to find the closest match. Okay, so essentially from middle of June, beginning of July, our Bitcoin and S&P have kind of gone in tandem, and I guess it hasn't been perfect, but it's pretty unusual to have a huge difference, especially in the more recent days. S&P's sort of outperformed for a little while. Guess it kind of depends on where you start, but through this sort of bearish consolidation phase, it's been pretty close. What makes it a little interesting is, as you all know, yesterday I called out this break above our descending wedge. So we had this descending wedge since April 4th of this year, and it has gone down for over 6 months, and finally we had a close outside of it. Now, there are a couple things. Number one, I was really expecting a green day on Bitcoin. And why is that? Because I was expecting a green day on the S&P. S&P just closed at a 1.18% increase. And on my pro channel last night, I predicted that. The average gain was a 1% gain on the S&P. So on the S&P, I expected a green day. We also had momentum on Bitcoin. And when the S&P is positive, like 95% of the time, Bitcoin is also green. Now, granted, we still have 4 hours left in the trading day, so Bitcoin could reverse a lot. But while the rest of the market was showing strength, Bitcoin was not. So it's kind of like, I'm not entirely sure what angle to go at from here, but I predicted a green day on the S&P, assuming that was going to translate into a green day on Bitcoin. A green day on Bitcoin would have put us at or above, especially if it was 1%. I mean, we can just do the math really quick. It was a, let's see, I've got some weird things. So our close yesterday was 19,546. So 19,546 times a 1% gain would have put us at 19,741, which would be exiting the red zone. It would be above our 50. So we got excited and touched our 50 this morning and then rejected from it. And now we've come back down. So now the question is this stray from the norm and from the average? How do we interpret this? So there's a couple of thoughts. One is that it's a super healthy thing for us to come back and establish support on a major trend. When you break a major trend, it's not uncommon for us to break it, touch it back to retest as support, and then head for the opposite side. So we'll run opposite of the resistance or support that we broke. So this can be interpreted as a positive thing. The other positive in this is that this line is very rapidly decreasing. So tomorrow, we would only need to stay above practically 19,000 to be above this line. So that is significant. I had a couple of people asking me what the big deal is. Like, why, why is this line so important? And all a line does is it creates a linear, well, actually, since I've got a log scale on, this is our exponential decrease in price. So if we took our best prices and we decrease them along the slope of this exponential line, we would find the best case scenarios for whenever Bitcoin got excited and finally started reaching for the sky. This represented the best case scenario. So it would get close and then fall back, and then it would get close and then it would fall back. And by doing this, it gives us a visual representation of momentum. So the momentum is decreasing. There's no question about it. And so if the momentum is decreasing at a consistent rate, breaking that momentum is the first step to changing direction. So when we poked our head out yesterday above this line, this was proof that the downward average momentum that we've seen as far as best case scenario when Bitcoin finally gets to a new high has changed. And so momentum no longer follows this line. Momentum's now going to have to find a different path, and it's going to be better than the downward pressure that we've seen. So that's how you interpret a line like this on an exponential or on a log scale graph. So anyway, today is very, very unusual. So I figured, I know that yesterday I kind of mentioned that we had sort of broken parity. It wasn't perfect. Like the previous days that I've been watching this, it's been move for move. And yesterday we started doing a little bit of different behavior. And the reason why is that there's a lot of money at stake. Breaking up versus breaking down is going to make and lose hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And so people with money are really watching these levels very, very closely. And this line is so intense and so steep that a descending triangle would normally, greater than 50% of the time, it would break out to the bottom. And there are people that stand to make a lot of money if that happens. And we broke out the top. And so it's the longer we hang out on the top side of this descending line here, the more people get it, the more technical analysts catch it, because the momentum has changed. Normally that's going to be seen in other indicators. And so like, yeah, right now our RSI is pretty flat. And if we keep going straight or start slowly moving up, the momentum will be captured in these other indicators, and we'll show a little bit of strength, and people will start trading off of that strength. And then it becomes a compounding effect when the market slowly moves from bearish to bullish. So that's sort of what is going on. Very, very weird though, to have a positive day on the S&P and then have a fairly significant negative day at end of day is pretty strange. So there are a lot of pressures going on right here. The push and pull is real. But I just feel like we've been in a beautiful consolidation for a long time. The longer you stay there, the better. It would help us a ton if we could close above the 50. And also, if we were to get above this level here, this 20,300. And the funny thing is that it's not far away. Like, these are not massive moves. So if this was a fluke, anytime the S&P is positive, it will put pressure on Bitcoin. And so if we were to have a positive day on the S&P tomorrow, it would also add more. So let's look at that scenario. So I just ran the numbers from the day's close for today. So we ended at 371.13. I put it in my little AI predictor to see what the best case might be, or what the kind of the average case would be. The best case is down here, obviously. But even though the rest of the the outlook is fairly neutral, tomorrow there's a greater than 50% chance that tomorrow will be a green day on the S&P. So, not only that, but we also have a very, very accurate, this is probably one of the most accurate views at the S&P. It might be worth taking a look at this, probably the top two as an example. So let me just look at these really quick and see what the landscape looks like kind of going forward. So it's February 16th of 2016. February. So February 16th of 2016 is this day here. So this close here is the closest match, and it's an extremely close match. It's rare to have a match that has a variance of less than 0.1. So in other words, 10%. So this is pretty interesting. Let me pull it up on two screens so we can see it a little easier. So I just have to turn off my couple things. Okay, so 2016, and then I will put our current day here. So this is what we're kind of matching. So this close right here, and the action that we've seen prior, and then the most recent past, only out about 55 days. This is sort of the mirror of what we've seen most recently. And you can see that there's in the past there was an experience where this was sort of our move out, and I still feel like this, even in our very bearish climate where long term I kind of agree that we'll probably go down, you can have these kind of relief rallies during a bear market for even 50 days. So it's not like markets go directly straight down all the time. But I still wouldn't put a lot of faith that we're going to just launch out of this and remain unscathed. But that is an interesting kind of view that there is a chance that things can go up, especially tomorrow. Tomorrow, the likelihood is good that at least it'll be a green day tomorrow. And then we had 2 days where were exactly right next to each other, and it was in 2008. These are July 22nd. I think we've looked at these on this channel. So 2008 in July. So this one will be a little more, yeah, very interesting. So July, excuse me, 22nd and 23rd, these are both the candles that are most like, and the more like was the 22nd. So that was this first one. So it assumes that we'll have here there was one more day, and then there was a couple days up and down. We kind of went sideways and bounced a little bit before ultimately dropping off. But when markets start showing this kind of volatility, there's usually a little bit of bounce, or at least some flattening that can happen. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I think we may have a little bit of assistance from the broad markets tomorrow on Bitcoin. And I also think that Bitcoin has a chance. I mean, there are positive things here. Just because it's a red day so far, I mean, we still have 3.5 hours, but there is some good things here. We found support off of this absolutely perfectly. I mean, we didn't even go below the line, like maybe a couple dollars. So it was pretty obvious support, if you ask me. And we will see where we end up. Today could be very, very interesting. If by some wild thing we got in the next 3.5 hours, we pulled up above the 20, that would be really, really powerful. And so setting up for a green day tomorrow would be just about perfect. So anyway, it's, these things, as a trader, we have to move slow. We can't just overreact to every single tiny move in the charts. It was uncomfortable to watch Bitcoin drop today when the S&P was positive, though. I was a little frustrated by that. But there are plenty of things that you kind of need to kind of put on some restraint and be extremely patient. It's hard to do that when you've just dealt with such a long and grueling bear market. It's hard to stay, neutral or objective or patient. I just keep going back to the fact that, I guess the main thing is I've lived through every single bear market that Bitcoin has ever experienced, right? I got involved in Bitcoin back in 2012, and I experienced the 2013 and 14 bear markets, the 2018 bear market, and now this one. And usually it's at that moment when you think that like all hope is lost, that's when it goes up. And markets do that to you. Markets aren't here to be your friend and make you a whole bunch of money. They are here to wreck you unless you have very strong principles and you have the courage to go against the herd and take risks when nobody else is willing to take them. So it's all about risk management, position size, consistency, patience, making sure that you have a reason for every trade. Right now I'm long, and it's because I see a Wyckoff accumulation happening. It's because our accumulation has lasted so long, because we've crossed this line now. There's a lot of things that are just a dip of the toe in the water of we are starting to melt the bearishness, and we're starting to unthaw a little bit. And if we can be in a position where we are slightly ahead of the rest of the herd, that herd's what pushes you. That's what carries you through the rest of it. But it would be nice to see some stronger moves. It would definitely alleviate some of that. But yeah, Ethereum's doing exactly what we would expect. It's sort of following Bitcoin. So far, it's nice to see that it's above the 200. We'll see where it ends up closing. The rest of the markets had a pretty rough time digesting all of this. With Bitcoin down, they definitely took a little bit of a beating. But there are some coins that are shining pretty awesome. Sushi and Maker have been unbelievable, and Matic is doing really well. So there's plenty going right out there in the market as well. So anyway, we're going to keep an eye on this and kind of watch the emotions and ups and downs of this market and see how we end up on the other side. But I kind of feel like this is a step in the right direction. We will see over the next few days how it plays out. But this is a huge change in momentum, and people will notice it. The people that are really sharp and really watching this, the smart money, they don't miss stuff like this. Okay, we'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. Make sure you keep those trades small. Don't force a trade. Don't get impatient. And if you want to see how all this works, please come over and check me out on the subscription channel at cryptoinfluencers.com. Again, the link is in the description.